and it looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Owski is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers.
All right, hopefully everybody can hear me here. Welcome everybody to what is this, round 7? Yeah, we're at the halfway point of the season here. Welcome everybody to round 7 here of FOXXXES Racing League. We are racing at Japan today. Japan, a track that should be interesting to watch and see exactly what happens here. Hope everybody's having a good day. If you're new here to FOXXXES Racing League, welcome. You're going to hear me call it FRL a lot. Of course, it is some of the best F1 esports racing that you will have the privilege to watch. If you're new here, check out our Discord, check out our Instagram. Well, we don't have an Instagram. Check out Twitter, check out Facebook, check out all of our socials. We'd love to have you join in. Always room for more drivers, always room for more people to join in. Would love to have you here. I want to talk for a second about last week, Jeddah. Jeddah was a fun race, to say the least. Ignas and Williams getting into first place. That was a great time there. Second place was, of course, Crash in the Mercedes. Third place coming out to be Spaghetti Mafia, the crowd favorite, of course. Everybody loves Spaghetti Mafia. Everybody loves spaghetti. We already know that. So it was pretty awesome to see Spaghetti Mafia back up and going. And moving through, looking here at the drivers list for this week and constructors table. Constructors table, of course, McLaren have now jumped Aston Martin after last week with a 3rd and 4th place finish for Spaghetti and FISHU. So that's really good to see. It's really exciting to kind of see them move up the way they have. Spaghetti Mafia, of course, as I keep saying, the crowd favorite. So it's really exciting to see what Spaghetti might be able to bring through. Big disappointments so far of the season. Ferrari and Alpine, they are really the disappointments so far, and it's unfortunate to see, and I'm hoping to kind of see them improve this week. Aston Martin, 6 points behind McLaren, so it'll be really fun to kind of watch and see what sort of a battle they can bring in. Let's see here, let's get ready to go through here. Bring up your track map, that way you can see, and then we'll move the logo here, that way you can really see the track map. Let's make that thing a little tinier here, I think that'll do it.
And big surprise, because probably you didn't heard me before, but I'm also here. Welcome everybody.
Welcome, SENTEX. I was worried about you there for a second. I wasn't sure what was happening, so welcome back.
I'm alive. Thank you so much.
Been a couple weeks since we saw you. Tell us, what have you been up to here the past couple weeks?
I had a bad moment with F1 game, so we were in a little conflict, but I think everything should be a little bit better. As a driver, as a commentator, I just wanted to make a little pause from the commentary, but I think in this week will be everything so much better now.
Absolutely. It's good to have you back. What are your opinions here on Japan? Japan is a track that me personally I'm not very familiar with and I've never been a big fan of, but as a driver, kind of what's your thoughts on here in Suzuka?
I heard that you say that this track will be fun, will be enjoyed, and I will say totally different. What can surprise us today? Because I think the Japan track will be painful, will be brutal, and will be definitely on some points might be tragic for a few drivers because this track might cost you spinning a lot because curbs are really killing every single driver that will try to use them.
So looking here, Spaghetti Mafia, crowd favorite, of course. FISHU, crowd favorite by proxy because he's a McLaren driver, I guess. Is there a certain team that you're looking forward to watching this weekend? Me personally, I'm really looking forward to watching Williams and Red Bull after last week. Ignas, they're getting first place last week. I think he's going to bring something special here again this week. Is there a certain team that you're kind of keeping your eye on here?
To be honest, I'm especially just want to see two new drivers, Kuba Kalvat and Puchacz, and I just want to see how they pace will be presenting on the track and overall how they will present in today's race. But coming back to the teams, I would lovely to see Ferrari coming back to the game because we saw a few disappointed for them races, and basically I think they deserve to came back a little bit for the fight of the podiums, of course. And maybe about the teams, um, hmm, it's hard to say. Maybe still McLaren trying to fight for the best for them. I don't know. We will see.
I feel like if you're an FRL, you have to be a Ferrari fan. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, no, not really.
So I feel like it's Ferrari and McLaren that everybody in FRL loves. Maybe I'm wrong here, but maybe I'm a little biased in being a Williams fan. But I've always been a Williams fan.
Anyway, we have 4 drivers currently that have on the medium compound, and today I will ask you, Bradley, what do you think? Which strategy would be the best?
Well, if you ask Jack from Split One, he's saying go hards to wets, which, I mean, for me, I think is a good strategy. Looking at kind of the race here, I think it's the same thing we say every week. You can say a strategy and then throw it out the window because safety cars don't make a difference. I think the big key this week is just going to be what drivers respond to safety cars and when they respond through. I think that'll be kind of the make or break in it. I don't think setting a strategy is a good decision. Personally, I would say start on the soft tires and roll from there because there probably will be an early race safety car. If there isn't, I'll be surprised. So I would say start on the soft tires and then just go from there and see exactly what the
Kalva
race
just
plays
made
out.
1 minute 29 and 9 on the medium compounds, which is very impressive.
That's wow. What are we expecting a pole time to be here?
I think it's still too early to set something like this. It's of course only our predictions. I think it will be somewhere like 29.4, 0.3 maybe. We will see.
Okay. Looking early times, I really like Kuba there with the 129.9 on the mediums, like you mentioned. WasserSchwein with a 129.9 on softs. Banker laps going in so far, and a lot of drivers early in just. I feel like maybe being a little conservative. You mentioned that the curbs are really deadly here, so I wonder if people are just being a little conservative here at the moment.
And I think we can say that the part 1 of the qualifications is already behind us. It's the first time that drivers going for the new part of tires, and today I will be person that is asking quick questions, Bradley. So let's prepare. Your prediction about pole position today?
As looking at early times here, I am going to go ahead and predict out that it is going to be.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and say early days, looking at times. Kuba looks like he's going to be really speedy, but so does Buchik. He looks like so far he's got a 135 on medium, so he may be a really good one to watch.
And also, what I wanted to mention when I was checking the standings, we're still waiting for Jungees to make some points because second Mercedes driver didn't earn any points at all. Of course, he had an amazing opportunities in the first half of the season, but he didn't make it. So, it is going to be his day.
Do you think?
I think so, because as I said before, in Japan, everyone potentially have chance to make some points because this track might be, I would say, very tricky. Yeah, this is the word that I wanted to use. Very tricky.
Tricky. Let's see. Trying to work out some audio issues here because, well, it's FRL, so if I wasn't having audio issues, I don't feel like we'd be having a good stream. So you'll have to keep me in tune here, SENTEX, on what exactly is happening. I see Crash, a lot of drivers currently out on outlaps. Is there anyone really flying through, giving a good...
Typowy just started his own hot lap, so we can check later him because he is going to finishing on the first sector. And I'm really curious who is going to be today's pole position winner on the qualifications because for now it doesn't look like the drivers are currently improving their times. As I said before, it's a very difficult track, so you can try to full send it, but the reward of course could be very high, but also you can risk probably DNF of the qualifications and of course on the race.
Absolutely.
So there's I mean like there's two points of view and two sides of the medal.
Every week we talk about that risk versus reward, and I wonder if some of these drivers have started to figure that out and really started to balance out that risk reward. 8 minutes left here in qualifying, and I think some drivers may play it a little conservative here in qualifying just because of Japan being Japan. As Topove comes across with a 130.3. So looking through here, I wonder if some drivers are going to purposely play it conservative just to kind of ensure that they can survive the first couple of laps.
Spaghetti Mafia with the second sector, purple second sector, and now he's finishing on the pole position, 1 minute 29 seconds, 0.5.
Look at Spaghetti Mafia go. Crowd favorite? Let's see here. I am still trying to work out these audio issues.
I hope everything will be going well. Then I will try to speak a little bit more, unless you will finish your sound problems. I don't know what's happened, but Bish had contact with Gamer on the start when both of them were crossing the line, and it was kind of interesting. Kuba Kalvat with the fastest lap currently, 1 minute 29.1, so already 4 tenths faster than Spaghetti Mafia.
4 tenths, that's a serious time gap
This is going to be very interesting race today. And still we have some of the drivers that still didn't make any lap. It's Beast 2000, Senor Piotras, Puchacz with DNF and Fabian. So we're still waiting for them. And we can see already that there is a huge time gap between the first and the 12th driver, because only those first 12 drivers had a time. And basically Kuba Kalvat 1 minute 29.1, while Velix 1 minute 32.6. So basically it's almost 3 seconds time gap. It's huge difference.
The time gaps are really shocking me at the moment because it's not predictable either, is what's weird with it. Like, usually we see Split 2 being significantly closer together, and then for some reason here in Split 1, it's so... Or here in Split 2, it's so spread out for the first time. And it's really shocking me because it's not something I'm used to seeing.
Yeah. Fabian still didn't came from his box, so we're still waiting for him. But now Senor Piotras is start doing his own hot lap, currently on the medium compound. So I'm very interesting what time he will receive at the end of his lap.
Let's see. Senor is a driver that I personally really like, so it's always fun to kind of watch him and see what he does. Medium tires here with 4 minutes left in qualifying, a risky-ish decision, but maybe it'll pay off and maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe he's doing what I said earlier and just being really conservative.
But he currently invalid his lap, so still one more chance. Probably will take a shot on these medium compounds. And we can see like top 10 of the drivers isn't changing that much, right?
It's not really, and it's kind of shocking me at the moment. Like I said, it's usually a lot tighter of a battle between the top 10, and for right now, it's not for some reason, and it's really confusing me. So we look here. Kuba with the 129.1 is, I think, is what shocked me so far.
I think I wouldn't be able to make this time even on split 1 today. Japan is, as I said before, very tricky track, and I don't personally like this one. And I'm looking into the future, just waiting for the second part of the season, because most of those tracks are like my favorites. So especially I'm waiting for the Austria next week. It will be pretty fun, but also from the FRL history, every single race on the Austria was a lot of dirty fights, dirty incidents. So it might end not really well for some people, but I hope we'll see something different. But today we really need to focus on the Japan track. And still, we see that few drivers struggling a little just to make their even the first time as a hot lap starting right now, Beast 2000. And I'm wondering what is the reason about that.
I think it's just because it's Japan, and Japan is a hard track, honestly.
I
I
agree.
think, for me personally, I think this is the hardest track on the calendar. If you look at everything coming up, I mean, Monaco is obviously Monaco, but as far as things are considered, I really think this might be the hardest track on the calendar for these drivers.
Is there any track that you're waiting especially in the second half of the current season?
There's two tracks that I'm really looking forward to. Monaco, because I love Monaco. I love commentating Monaco. I do not like driving Monaco. And then I'm American, so you can obviously guess the other one. I don't think I have to say it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. A minute 40 left in qualifying. Any driver's going to improve at this point? I see a lot of drivers out on outlaps, but I don't anticipate. I mean, you've got to gain, if you're WasserSchwein, you have to gain 4/10 to get into pole position, and that's, I don't want to say it's a tall order, but it's a tall order.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And I'm currently watching Spaghetti Mafia starting his probably one of the last try on the soft compound. We already saw that he lost a little bit on the first corner, and he will be trying to definitely beat his own time right now. But I'm not sure that he will be able to beat Kuba Kalva time, and
Oh,
that must be heartbreaking.
oh, Spaghetti Mafia, the crowd favorite, always trying to push his hardest, and then as we talked about risk versus reward, at this point he's P3. There's no reason to hold back. So it kind of doesn't surprise me that he went the way he did. Jumping on board here with typowy, who's coming across to set his final flying lap, and he puts in a 129.8, up 2/10, but still only into P5 at the moment. So looking here, less than a minute left in qualifying. We're 10 seconds actually. I think this could be all she wrote. WasserSchwein is out on a flying lap. He's in the first sector at the moment. I don't know what else is going to come across here as the checkered flag drops. So this is going to be the time here. And WasserSchwein is going to be the last driver to come through the line. So whatever he sets is going to hold on to it. As we look here, Velix in the middle sector coming around. He looks really strong so far that I can tell.
Also, I was watching FISHU and he invalid on the second corner, so he lost his dreams to fight for the higher position, and he will be for now starting from the 7th place on the grid. But also, we still have a few drivers on the track trying to fight for the best place starting in the grid on the upcoming race.
Let's see here. Velix coming around. Final couple of corners. We'll see what time he can put in. He's going to come across, and he is going to set a 130.5, up 3/10, but still only good enough for P9. Vixie comes across with a 130.3, sets himself into P8, just ahead of Velix. Looking back, other drivers coming across. WasserSchwein about to cross the line. He puts in a 129.2. Not good enough to improve and beat Kuba, but still good enough to improve himself from his P2. So he's locked into place here. FISHU coming around in the third sector, but he's invalidated, so his time won't matter. So at the moment, this is our grid locked in. So Kuba P1, WasserSchwein 2, Spaghetti Mafia P3, and that's going to make for an interesting first corner.
Oh yeah, that definitely make the first corner very interesting, especially that we will have a crash. Spaghetti Mafia, WasserSchwein and Kuba Kalvat fighting each other for the leading in the Japan GP. And I will ask you again, Bradley. What do you think could happen on the first? Let's go with the first sector.
Safety car first lap. Turn 1 carnage in the midfield. I don't think it's going to be the front of the field that we need to worry about. I think the midfield is going to be where something happens. I just think the drivers are going to really be ducking it out, and that is going to be where it gets interesting. It seems like the midfield is always what we have to watch when it comes to the drivers. It's never the front of the grid that we really worry about on lap 1.
And this is our grid after the qualifying. Kuba Kalvat P1, WasserSchwein P2, Spaghetti Mafia P3, Crash P4, and typowy P5. This is top 5 drivers that will be starting in front of the grid, and I can't really wait until the race, because I'm very interested how it's going to be looks like the first lap. Those very tricky corners, and I'm really wondering that the safety car will came out even on the first lap.
Safety car lap one just seems to be too predictable. I don't want a lap one safety car. That's the issue. I think hearing me speak, I'm saying I want a lap one safety car, but I don't. I really want to see a good clean race, but it's Japan. It's a hard track. This is where I feel like the skill gap and the driver's pace really separates. And maybe it's just because a lot of drivers don't race Japan. Japan is one of those tracks that I don't feel like a lot of drivers practice to begin with. For myself personally, it's one that, like, whenever I do a career mode or something, I skip Japan. It's just not a favorite track for me.
Yeah, that's what I said before. It's a very difficult track for even for the advanced drivers because, as I said, in the current game we have some difficulties with the curbs, so you need to especially avoid them. And this track makes you that you need to drive very fast, but also really try to be more focused on the safety driving. So awareness and pace will be very unique and very uh, considerate at the end of the race because it will show how drivers will go by the whole race. Because especially as you can see, few drivers already sleeping on the formation lap. So it will show and tell us that it will be definitely a very interesting race.
Tire temps play an issue in Japan from my experience. Does your experience match that? That tire temps are going to play a big role in this as well for drivers managing pace because they'll want to push and move forward, but at the same time, you kind of can't push that hard unless you want to worry about tire temps. At least in my personal experience, I think tire temps are a big issue here. Looking around at the grid so far, Jungees and Fabian on medium tires. Everybody else opting for softs, so I wonder if people are listening and hear us predicting early safety cars.
And the current strategy on the wheels will be soft to hards or soft to mediums. Which one would you prefer, Bradley?
I always prefer the softer compound tires, so if it's me, I would play the tire conservation game and try to run the softs long and then try to go to mediums. But again, tire temps and tire deg, that's going to be where the issue is here. It looks like last car in the grid is forming up. So here we are, round 7, halfway point of the season. Everything's set up, and we're going to have 5 red lights, and it is going to be underway here for round 7 here in Japan for split 2. You can see Spaghetti Mafia having a strong dive on the inside, getting around. Kuba having a horrible start, and WasserSchwein running away with it. Here in the midfield, though, look at the inside there is Crash, tries to dive around Kuba, and he does get around Kuba, I believe. Unless it's typowy he got around, that is. So far coming around, and there is my predicted pit stop strategy popping up. But so far coming around, it looks like drivers staying fairly clean through the first sector. Nothing crazy, no carnage. Everybody's settling into that single file line already here through the first few corners. The Spaghetti Mafia is under pressure by Kuba. At the moment, not as chaotic of a first sector as I thought it was going to be.
And I think we can say that the commentator curse works on us today, but we can see already Buciek just fell off the track, and I didn't saw that there was a contact with someone.
What was Spaghetti Mafia and Kuba just got together as well? I don't know if they ran each other off, but now Spaghetti has no wing. I missed exactly what happened there, but that is going to be an interesting discussion later because now there's no wing and there's a VSC. Spaghetti and Kuba just slammed each other into the wall. I don't know whose fault that was there.
So Stewards will had already a job to do, but we need to focus on the current situation on the track. As you said, Spaghetti really need to change his own strategy just from the beginning of the race, because driving without a wing, we know that it's almost impossible, but also Kuba Kalvat goes for exactly the same thing, so they will fall off probably on the end of the grid, and both of drivers are waiting with the penalty. It 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 looks like the Kuba Kalvat was standing like few seconds, but
What just
I don't
happened to
know.
Crash and Typowy there? Just spectating them, and they just seem to spin in the most random place in Sector 1. That was this is a weird race so far. I'm
That's what I
not
said.
sure what's happening.
And just better just check how the grid looks like right now. WasserSchwein on the P1, FISHU on the P2, and Vixie on the P3. So basically, this is the situation that we weren't even think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like just early mistakes are costing people, but it's really weird off-the-wall mistakes that don't make sense to me. Like, some of those spins in the most random places aren't making sense to me of what exactly is happening.
But still, we can see that there's almost a DRS train, and few drivers will definitely try to attack each other, especially on those timing gaps. It's not even like half of the second, so basically there's very tight situation on the grid, and FISHU, Vixie, Velix, Jungees, Puchacz with the fastest laps so far. And of course, this is only the beginning of the race, so everything will change later. But I'm wondering what would happen in the middle part of the race, because we can see those curbs can kill you, and few drivers already met that, and Jungees just spun in front of the Puchacz, Vixie also. So this is going to be very, very interesting race today.
I think we're going to have a lot of things to talk about here on our hands as we go through. Lots of just random mistakes, as I've said already. It's really weird, and now we've got this DRS train forming here in the middle sectors. Crash is trying to have an attack on Puchacz, and he's so close, but he's not close enough at the moment. Only one DRS zone there in the first sector, right? Or is there two DRS zones? Am I just blind?
Yeah, two.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure what... I had a prediction for this race, and now my prediction's out the window.
No,
I really don't know what's
you
happening.
might be right. There's only one DRS zone, and it's in the starting lane. So you had right.
Okay, so I'm not
My
crazy.
bad.
Well, a little bit, but I thought there was two, but then I thought there was one. It doesn't make a difference. My track knowledge is sometimes questionable. Looking here, at the moment, it seems like just it's going to be a case of what driver can follow who. As we look around here, and Owski getting passed there by Puchacz in the Williams. So Williams making a dive around, and then it looks like Crash thought about having a dive as well, but didn't. It's Kuba setting in a fastest lap, and Owski having a little bit of an off there.
Okay, so I had already a lesson that I really need to avoid the curbs in my Split 1 race. It will definitely help me a lot.
Absolutely.
And this makes me really questionable how it's going to be looks like in the Split 1, to be honest. Because currently drivers are struggling with those curbs.
I think Split 1 is going to keep me really busy as well. So it looks like, as I said, it's just random mistakes that have gone on here. We're only 4 laps in, and the grid's so mixed up now because just silly mistakes. Unfortunately for the drivers, though, one silly mistake can completely take you out of the race. See, and it looks like Bernard is ghosted on my screen. I don't know if he is for you, but on my screen he's ghosted out.
Yeah, there's two ghosted drivers. It's Bernard and Fabian. I don't know what happened, but we also been in a situation like this, but Vixie decided or DNF'd. I don't know what happened, and it looks like he crashed in the second sector, and we
And
have first safety car.
it only took 5 laps. There we go, though. Safety car is out, and you can see Aston Martin's safety car is coming around and holding position there in the first sector to pick up the grid. So as we come around 5 laps in, if you're on soft tires, are you going to go ahead and pit to go to hards and run long, or would you think the drivers are going to take advantage of this and try to stay on their softs a little bit longer?
It depends. It really depends how good you feel on the hard compound, because the hard compound, as we know, lets you go with really long time, but they might be a little bit sleepy. I don't personally like them. I will prefer to go soft, medium softs because I have more opportunity to push. For example, in the end of the race, and I hope today I will have a chance to do that. But we really need to focus on the current drivers, and as you said, we still have a lot of drivers currently on the soft compounds, and I think it depends from the driver. If someone felt that okay, I will be faster on the medium, then I will go to softs. Okay, but it still goes to you really need to go to the pit twice, so it's at extra time that will count into your account.
WasserSchwein and FISHU are deciding to go into the pits, and it looks like all of the top of the field is as well. Velix, Puchacz, Crash, Owski, Bernard, Bis 2000. Typowy is the first driver staying out, and Typowy on softs, so looks like a lot of the drivers are mixing it up here. I see medium tires going on for some drivers. A lot of drivers opting for softs. Puchacz going on to hards. Bernard going on to hards. So lots of split strategies here going through. I wonder if the drivers on mediums... I don't think the mediums can make it 21 laps, can they?
It's hard to say. Depends how drivers will be saving those tires. If they can do that, I think they will be able. But I will repeat myself. It depends for how they will feel on the track.
If you're on the mediums and you want to run to the end as a one stop, you're going to have to hope for another safety car at least to give you a few laps to kind of conserve your tires.
Yeah.
The way the tire deck seems to be going already, with drivers only on 5-lap-old softs and deciding to jump off them so early, I don't imagine the mediums are going to make it to the end. So maybe those drivers are going to go for a soft, medium, soft strategy like what you talked about in the beginning. But it looks like WasserSchwein and FISHU are going to commit themselves to a soft, soft, medium there in the front of the grid.
Mm-hmm. Well, this definitely makes this race more interesting because maybe those strategies will decide at the end of the race on the finishing places on the end. And I don't know what's happening with the Owski and the Crash because they are currently overtaking each selves.
Game glitch?
Huh?
A game glitch, I wonder? You know, because F1 2021 is the best game ever made.
Yeah, I just wanted to say about Boogie Masters, but you already told that. I hope not. I read somewhere, I don't know, I don't remember where, but probably somewhere on Twitter that some of the problems, maybe you remember last season, Netherlands, that we weren't allowed to race because there was a lot of disconnect problem, and we weren't able to drive. And I heard that some of the leagues already stopped racing and waiting until the next update. I don't know. Current situation with the game, I think it's pretty okay just to drive, but of course few problems might happen, and I think it's pretty normal, right?
We've had, I know we've had some disconnect issues happen already this season. I hopefully it doesn't cost us anything, but at the same time, it's just frustrating to a degree because of the issues, and this game's been out so long now. I feel like fundamentally there shouldn't be this many issues. What just happened to Puchacz there? He just slammed into the wall out of nowhere.
The curbs. The curbs are the problem, even if you want to just make your tires warmer, just for the better grip. And I think the safety car will be in this lap. So, especially for the end of the grid, Jungees, MBuciek, Kuba Kolvat, Senor Piotras, the current situation with the hard compound will be very, very helpful for them, because we already saw that they pit so early, and I think this safety car might help them a lot, but we will see.
Well, Puchacz is going to have to pit now, even though he's on those hard tires. One of the only drivers to opt for hard tires this early. He's going to have to pit now because he's missing part of his front wing. Unfortunately, that's going to compromise a lot of his strategy. So I'm interested to see what he decides as the safety car is coming in, which means typowy is going to take control of the field. typowy opting to go right here in the middle of the final corner. So typowy setting away early, and Puchacz having to pit. I'll see what tires he goes back on. And it looks like things are going to go kind of smooth here to start out. Again, after this safety car, not a lot of hard battles. I think at this point the drivers have decided they just want to make it to the end of the race.
There's a really close gap between top 3 drivers, and I'm waiting for some moves. We already showed that Velix overtake Fabian, but he's a ghost. Buciek just spun, but also probably Beast 2000 crashed himself. I'm wondering it was by the contact or more like by the curb, but it will definitely not help Buciek in his current situation. And from the restart, we already see that we have a few changes on the current positions on the grid, but I'm still not sure who will be able to win this race, to be honest.
At this point, typowy not on a strategy that lines up with anyone. He's on 7-lap-old softs, WasserSchwein behind him on fresh softs, so he's going to be feeling the pressure here very quickly. So typowy maybe not on the best strategy, but he could find himself in a good spot near the end of the race because he's on an alternate setup compared to the rest of the grid. So he's going to be offset, which means he may find himself pitting later while everyone's on really, really bad tires. Looking here at the moment.
And we have 3 wide now, Bradley. Spaghetti Mafia, Owski, and Crash going to the first corner. 3 wide, and it will be very interesting.
Oh!
So close, and Spaghetti Mafia just spun. I think there was a contact with some of the drivers. I don't know with who, but this must be heartbreaking again.
Spaghetti Mafia not having a good Mafia day so far.
Oh, yeah.
Down into the back of the grid now after... I believe there was contact between them, unfortunately, so that'll be one for the stewards to discuss later, I'm sure.
And if my informations are correct, I know that Japan isn't a favorite track for the Spaghetti Mafia. So I think we wouldn't see him today on the podium, but as I'm always saying, everything might happen, so we still need to wait until the end of the race.
Lap 9 here of 27, a third of the way through the race so far, and lots of chaos very early on. Spaghetti Mafia already moving himself back up into P12 here at the moment, so he's got a long way to climb back to the front of the grid. Looking here at Kuba up into P10, starting on the pole and then dropping off early, so he's got a long way as he almost breaks into the back of Senor right in front of him. A little bit of a lockup there going through the final couple of corners. Fortunately, he was able to catch it, but that was scary for a split second. The grid's really settled out now here, 10 laps in. So it's going to be, I think, just a game of cat and mouse as we go through here the next 17 laps. It's a lot of it's going to fall into strategy, unfortunately.
Of course, typowy, WasserSchwein and FISHU have better situation because softs are definitely faster compound than the medium. But as you said before, medium compounds let you move a little bit more on them than on softs. So top 3 current drivers really need to push and make a really big time gap advantage just in front of the medium compound drivers. As they want to use this gap and take advantage in the grid, because as you said before, typowy currently on the 9th lap softs, so Wasser and FISHU with 3 lap old compound, I'm sorry, might change a lot.
We'll see here when typowy decides to pit. Is WasserSchwein putting the pressure here as they come through the first sector? DRS open, so typowy is going to dive around the left. WasserSchwein goes the inside, and the pass is done before the first corner braking zone even approaches. So typowy down in the P2, 10 lap old softs. I would imagine he is pitting here in at least the next 2 laps, if not sooner, as FISHU's about to put him under pressure coming through the first sector. If you're typowy and you get past here just through the corners by FISHU, I would say that is going to be your time to pit, because at that point you're losing too much time to justify staying out.
Also, we need to say about Crash that he's pushing so much just behind top 3 drivers, and I think he might be able to fight again for another podium for a Mercedes driver. But the main question in my head in today's GP is like, which strategy will be the best? Like, I really want to know that, because of course it will help me a lot, but I'm also very curious about the driver situation.
You and me both. You can say it. You're going to steal the best strategy for your race. It's okay. Nobody's going to judge you there.
I hope I will not fall at the end of the grid again.
Oh, and Puchacz retiring their middle sector. Second safety car has came out now. It looks like, unfortunately, he just lost it there in the middle sector. I didn't see exactly what happened, but by the look of it, I believe the curbs, yep, I think it was the curbs that hit him there and took him out. So, as the drivers come around the pit straight, lots of drivers in for typowy. This is going to be a great break for him, as it's basically going to give him a free pit stop, as he was on those 10-lap-old softs.
So that was a very good decision to stay on those pair of softs. But also we need to consider that Kuba Calvat came back for the podium. He have a hard compound, 6 laps old, and it might be very helpful for him. Of course, we can see that there are some changes on the track currently. Crash on the P1, Velix P2, Kuba Calvat P3, Wasser P4, MBuciek P5, typowy P6. So Red Bull looking very strong in this race. FISHU fall down to P7, Owski, Bernard, Senor Piotras, Gamer, Jungees, Spaghetti Mafia, and Fabian. That's how the grid looks like just for now, and we already lost 3 of the drivers, and it's really heartbreaking, isn't it?
It really is, especially because it's just unfortunate, and it's not like big crashes or anything. It's just small mistakes that, unfortunately for the drivers, are costing them. And if you're a driver still out racing, you're probably taking mental notes of that, of watching the small mistakes, especially the curbs. Staying off the curbs, I believe, is a big key for these drivers and making sure that they last the remainder of this race.
I'm not sure when the safety car came in to the pit lane because we're still waiting for the Fabian. But as I had information from the administration, Fabian isn't in lobby. It might be caused because of the strong wind in Poland, and a lot of people don't have electricity. So I hope everything is okay about the situation, and it's not about this. But still, we have one more lap with the safety car.
Absolutely. At least one more lap with safety car at the moment. Hopefully the weather in Poland isn't causing anything too crazy. Kuba is putting a lot of pressure there on Velix to get moving. He's almost passed him a couple of times. He kind of reminds me of Max Verstappen at the moment. He's just right on the rear wing of Velix. You can tell that Kuba is ready to go, and he is here for the long haul. Kuba was the only driver that had a penalty. FISHU and Owski now have penalties. It looks like for a collision here under safety car. A very clean race when it comes to penalties, especially compared to last week. There were a lot of 3-second, 5-second penalties served in both splits, but this week it seems like a lot of drivers are keeping it clean.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention about that only the Kuba Calvat have 3 seconds penalty. Yeah, and definitely this race is more cleaner than in the Jeddah. It might be because about that awareness that was I was talking about, and of course there's a lot of opportunities just to go outside of the track and to earn some warnings. Cost you, of course, 3 seconds penalty, but I don't think the drivers really just want to take a risk today, and they just want to drive patiently until the end of the race, of course without the penalties. Because if they will be trying to make some crazy things, crazy moves, it's not even about the 3 seconds penalty warning or even warnings, but about the DNF, and we already saw that today.
The DNFs are really, really painful, especially for such good drivers. I want to say the drivers are being conservative, but they're not, especially when you look at lap times here, if I can get them to pull up. Why can I not remember what you hit here? There we go. When you look at lap times and just drivers that have moved around, we're not that far off of the times from qualifying, which is really crazy to me.
Really interesting how the restart wheel went for some of the drivers. We can see already Crash is pushing so hard. Velix is trying to catch him. Just behind is WasserSchwein, and I don't know where Kuba Calvat already fall down on the 6th place. In front of him is typowy and MBuciek, so very good restart for the Red Bull drivers. Just behind is FISHU, Bernard, Senor Piotras already overtake with gamer Owski. Jungees just attack on the outside of Ski, and it paid off with beautiful overtake. And on the end of the grid, Spaghetti Mafia.
Spaghetti Mafia, I'm sure he's sick of us saying his name, but he just keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's really
like a roller coaster.
like a roller coaster. I love that. So it's really just long-term watching here. I think Spaghetti's going to have to set up for the long haul. And Kuba. Where did he wreck at? Was that there in the hard left-hander?
It looks like he lost control of the car, and he just crashed in front of the wall. So another safety car and another few minutes just to think about the rest of the race. I'm sorry, I can't focus today. And to think about strategy, just to pick, because we can see already that even Spaghetti, Fabian or Owski are currently on the back of the grid. They have a big opportunity to fight again for the podium, so everything might happen. Velix goes to the pit lane, so basically a few drivers just jump in front of him, but still on the leading. Crash behind him, Wasser, MBuciek and typowy, so Red Bull come so close for the podium. Buciek currently on the 12 lap old hard compound, and almost the rest of the grid is on the medium compound.
Strategy here long term, I think if you're on the hards, you need to just. Well, Buciek can't commit to the hards at this point because they're 12 laps old, and he's going to have to put another 12 laps on him, so that would be 24 laps on hard tires. I'm not optimistic that that is a good idea, but I'm not the race car driver, so I mean, is it
Look,
doable?
now you have I think maybe 2, maybe 3 laps under the safety car, so you're already saving your tires. 2 or 3 laps is, I think, a huge advantage for the Buciek, because those 3, let's say those 3 laps will come closer to the end of the race, so he doesn't need to push right now, right?
He doesn't. It's just a case of, I mean, he's done 2 safety cars on these hard tires now.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he stays on them all the way to the end, by the end of the race, they're gonna be just rocks. They're gonna fall off so fast near the end. So, is it doable? Yes, but no. Is it smart? I mean, I guess we're gonna see how that plays out, because it's. If I'm him, I wouldn't pit at this point. As crazy as that sounds, even though I'm judging him for it, I would not pit. I would just commit at this point and roll to the end unless you absolutely lose your tires to the end.
Especially Buciek just fell down almost on the end of the grid at the beginning of this race. So that he is currently on the P3 is a huge thing, I would say.
It really is, and because the drivers in front of him are on mediums, WasserSchwein might not need to pit, but Crash on 9-lap old mediums, I think he's going to have to pit again. So that opens him up to P2 if he can defend from the drivers behind him on the fresher mediums here on the restart. It'll be long term. It's going to be very cat and mouse. It's very neck and neck. I don't have a strong prediction of what's going to happen here, but it's going to be fun, and that's what I care about.
What is the good point of the safety car is that we have only 13 drivers, so we don't need to wait so long for the rest of the drivers, and a few penalties just fall down on the few drivers, and I see the Bernard had disconnect issue, and he just leave the lobby, and I don't know what's happening, but it cost him penalty that he was ignoring the yellow flag. You really need to see what's the time penalty. 5 seconds. 5 seconds penalty. Same as FISHU, Senor Piotras, Gamer, and Fabian. Owski already have 10 seconds penalties.
That's very unfortunate. Information saying he had power issues before the race. Again, winds in Poland, some of the bad weather coming in from the Netherlands out that way. So it could be that he is having that issue again, unfortunately. Hope he's safe, but that's very unfortunate if that is the situation. If it cost him a penalty, which thankfully it is possible that that penalty could get removed, but if that is what cost him that penalty, that's really unfortunate.
And another collision, Velix now with Owski. Owski with 15 seconds penalty. And I don't know what's happening with Owski today. Long time we didn't see he was behaving like this on the track. But let's go back to the safety car in this lap, and again another restart. We see Crash already trying to jump over in front of the WasserSchwein, but Wasser is trying to push as much as he can. Just right behind him is Buciek and typowy, so the Red Bull, both of the Red Bull drivers don't want to let this possibility of podium today out of the hands, and just behind them are FISHU. So that's how it looks like the top 5 currently, and we can see the grid is mixing, changing today a lot.
It
And
absolutely is.
yeah, and what is more, Spaghetti Mafia just came back to fight, and he's currently on the 8th place.
It looks like something just happened there because I was shown a host migration. It looks like Owski leaving the session there. I wonder if that's again another power issue. Unfortunate if that is the situation going on. But at the moment, Crash, WasserSchwein, and MBuciek all calming down. The front 4 separated by at least a second or more. FISHU in P5, I think, is going to bring a good challenge in. Senor in P6. Jungees, Spaghetti Mafia looking here, 0.3 of a second separating him and Jungees, but Velik's right behind him as well, so he's under pressure and trying to put pressure at the same time. Spaghetti Mafia trying to build his way back up to the front of the grid.
And I think both of us, as a commentator and commentators, will agree with that. We long seen maybe like this. We didn't saw a long time Haas driver at his favorite top 5 places because he was very, I would say, I will be honest. I forgot a word, but he were every single race in the current position, and he was holding it. So I just start to thinking like, does Senor Piotras have a chance to fight again for such a high places as he had before?
I really think Senor is going to get here in the top 5. Looking through it, how he's finished the season, P2, P3, 5, 4, 4, DNFing in Jeddah, which it's Jeddah, so it doesn't surprise me. That's a painful race for everyone involved. I don't think anyone really liked it. So Jeddah was an interesting track, so I'm not going to hold it against him, but I mean, 5 races he's finished, he's been top 5, and Haas for a long time here in Split 2 were holding top of constructors, so we talked about it a couple races ago. The consistency in Haas is what's really made that team, and I think if you're Senor, that is absolutely going to be what you're shooting for. As Spaghetti Mafia passes Jungees here with a great pass coming through in the middle sector, but he's also going to get past his teammate, I believe. He's tucking in right behind his teammate. Are we going to see any sort of team orders come into play? I don't think we will, because FISHU is going to dive the inside of typowy, and now we have just an absolute carnage fest here in the 3rd sector. It looks like some people are missing wings. I think Jungees losing out big time there, missing his front wing, but I think Spaghetti Mafia and FISHU both also taking damage there from a little bit of a traffic jam and bumper to bumper that they caused, trying to make some gutsy moves in the 3rd sector.
Exactly, and Senor Piotras just jumped over 2 positions, and he is currently on the 1st place. So basically, he is still able to fight until the end of the race for the podium, but in front of him is MBuciek with 16 laps old, currently hard compound. So it looks like he will be able to drive it until the end on this compound. Don't you think?
It looks like it, but as soon as I cut the camera over to him, the one thing I noticed was he was almost over in the grass from a lack of grip. So he may be suffering from some grip issues at this point. I'm really curious to know what his tire percentages are right now, where he is with tire wear, because while yes, I think he'll make it to the end, I think the grip is gonna be what gets him near the end. But he looks like he's doing really good so far to kind of hold on to those tires.
And Crash actually is leading on the 12 laps old medium, so it's also very impressive, and he have almost 2 seconds gap in front of the WasserSchwein.
The 2-second gap up front is what's shocking me really at the moment, and then it's the 4-second gap between WasserSchwein and MBuciek doesn't surprise me just because of the tire difference, but the 2-second gap between Crash and WasserSchwein is really surprising because I figured those drivers would be a little bit closer than what they are.
He just went to the box and he was standing those 5 seconds penalty that he had with the Owski. So it definitely cost him a lot.
Oh!
That must hurt. That must hurt. We already lost 6 drivers in this race. It's unbelievable. And it's another safety car. Oh my lord. Bradley, what is going on today?
I have no idea. I hope this isn't a preview of Split 1, because if it is a preview of Split 1, I'm going to be busy. I I didn't exactly see what happened there, but what was it that happened there? The 1 second I blink and I open my eyes, Typowy and Senor are together.
Some of the drivers might be very angry today.
I
And I'm really glad that I'm not a steward because they will have a really big problem today. And we can see already that Crash is coming to the pit lane, but WasserSchwein is taking the lead right now. And I think he will be easily able to drive those 6 laps until the end on this medium compound. And strongly looks like this for him right now.
MBuciek staying out on his hard compound tires. I He is committed to that strategy. Wow.
I can say that he almost left his heart on the track today, isn't it?
I I would have pitted here. Honestly, if you're on 18 lap old hards, I would think that right here is where you should pit. Go onto a set of softs and run at the end, because now you're going to be under threat. You've got Crash and Spaghetti behind you on fresh softs, and they're going to be on a charge.
Exactly. And those drivers that just pit lap before to change the tires are, I will say, are winners, because it will take them a huge advantage in front of the driver that didn't pit. But we don't have that much drivers on the track, so basically only one driver will be without the points today. So it might make it a little bit impressive, and in the same time make it a little bit awkward, isn't it?
One driver is going to have to take the loss on no points, and it'll be a challenge to see who it is at the moment. Looking through, it's Owski is a lap down. You can see him there in P2 or second place here in the safety car lineup. And so it's going to be, I think Owski, unfortunately, is going to be the one in trouble for points. But it's still, the top 5 is still anyone's guess.
Also, you said before that Owski on your screen just left the session, right? So maybe another difficulty with the connection to the game.
Right.
I hope it wouldn't repeating in the future races, because it's really killing the idea of the racing. And we just need to be honest. This is not the opportunity to fight on the track.
Absolutely.
Because it's not equal, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't enjoy the connection issues and the desyncs and all the things affecting things. I know we're an online organization, so you are going to have, sometimes connection issues happen, sometimes different things happen with people's internet. But when it's not the driver's fault and it affects them, for example, I think it's Bernard was ghosted out, or Fabian was ghosted out at one point, and when it's not the driver's fault but it affects their racing, it takes the fun out of it. Like Fabian being ghosted out is just, it's not fun, because then if he wants to pass someone, like, you can just drive right through him, or he can drive right through someone, and it's not as fun.
And if my informations are correct, Fabian is not in the game, so probably the whole race is in his car is driving an AI bot. So I'm just wondering how the situation will change after the race. So, for example, if the situation with Fabian staying on the 6th place, just in front of the Jungees, let Jungees jump in front of him, or he will get this position. I don't know. I think the stewards will have a lot of work to do right today.
They will, and I am very glad I'm a commentator, not a steward, personally, because that is a job that I want no part in.
Important information: Owski is not in the lobby, so I have right, and probably he will be the person that will not be in the points. But what with other drivers? Do we have any other information?
Only information I have is the safety car is in this lap, so at the moment, I'm keeping my eyes on Spaghetti Mafia, if you want me to be honest here. 5 laps to go. I think Spaghetti on the soft tires is either gonna... He's going to send it or he's going to send it. And I don't think if you're Spaghetti, you have any option but to send it. So we'll keep our eyes on him as we go through these last few laps. And he is already passing Crash down the first straightaway. He's going side by side here. Crash and Spaghetti side by side into the first corner. And Crash puts the big squeeze in on Spaghetti. And for Spaghetti, that means he's going to hold on to P5, but almost cost him his race already.
Yeah, Crash, in my opinion, racing too aggressive because he didn't leave the space and he was closing a lot the doors for the Spaghetti Mafia, that he even had opportunity to fight with him on this corner. Of course, I understand defending, but it was too much dangerous driving in this situation. Even though Spaghetti Mafia is still holding his 5th place, and it's so close in front of drivers that he will be able to fight for the podium, and I really wondering that is he going to stand on the podium today or not? That's the question.
He's going to have to get something done quick if he wants to stand on the podium, because unfortunately for him, if he doesn't get it done quick, it may settle out. MBuciek holding up everyone behind him, though, on those 20-lap old hards. 1.5 seconds already the gap. So if you're WasserSchwein, you really want MBuciek to just sit there. And if you're Crash, Velix, and Spaghetti, you really need this driver to get out of the way. Crash having a little bit of a dive up the inside here on Velix. Very close. He gets loose. Spaghetti goes way off the track to save his race. Spaghetti on the inside now on Crash. Is he going to leave any space? You can see Velix going through. Crash and Spaghetti having a lot of contact here, and Spaghetti is going to get by. Did it cost him any wing damage? I don't believe it did. Crash finally getting out of the way here. Spaghetti up into P4. Spaghetti diving over, wheel barely on the grass, trying to get up into P3. Did Spaghetti get the pass done? He did. Crash tried to have a dive up the inside here on Velix. Didn't make it happen. Velix trying to have another peek up the inside of Spaghetti. Spaghetti holding on to P3, moving 2 places in 1 straightaway. Crash is trying as hard as he can to get moving, and unfortunately for Crash and Velix, little mistakes costing them their position. Spaghetti up on the podium places.
Also, I don't know that there were a contact or FISHU just spun, but he already lost a few positions. But these close fights between Jungees, Crash, Velix, and Spaghetti Mafia are just unbelievable. How close are they to each other? And we still have 3 laps to go, so oh my, everything might happen right now.
Absolutely. Crash, Velix, and Spaghetti Mafia not giving each other any breathing room here. It's going to be a shootout here the last few laps as we go through. Spaghetti Mafia coming around, and it looks like Spaghetti getting a little loose. Crash getting a little bit better of a run on Velix here. On board with Crash. Velix under pressure. Which way is Crash going to go? Crash is tucked into the slipstream. Crash is going to look as they come into the final corner. Crash looks around. He's going to be on the inside. Late break. Ooh. And Crash hits Velix. And that is going to be Crash spinning all the way around. Crash falling down. And for Velix, barely holding on to it. So Velix here dropping back now. P5 at the moment. And for Crash, pushing too hard. We said it was all or nothing. And if you were Crash, he tried to leave it on. Unfortunately for Crash, that is all she wrote for his chances at the podium.
Do we both agree that that was his fault? Because he half place, of course. He might cut a little bit more this turn, but it was too close and too much aggressive and dangerous driving by the Crash, and it caused him lost a lot of positions, and he already felt on the 10th place. So basically there's only a fight between Bernard, Jungees, Gamer, FISHU, and Velix, and somehow I lost the contact with my eyes with Velix, that he just fell off the 8th place.
He did fall down. I don't know where he fell down. I don't know what happened there, but I would I don't know that I would say Crash was doing dangerous driving. I think he was pushing really hard, and unfortunately, sometimes when you push too hard, you just lose control. You have to know your limits when you push and try to do things. I think the contact with Spaghetti is going to be a conversation the stewards are going to have because it was close, but I don't know looking through if I want to call it dangerous driving or if I would just say hard racing. That's a question for Michael Massey, who's out of a job, but if you're Michael Massey, he says they go motor racing. If you're Debe or any of the other stewards, I don't know what they're going to say. That's their decision. I don't get paid to do that.
Buciek is making just right now amazing job holding those 2 seconds gap in front of the Spaghetti Mafia. We're seeing that the Spaghetti Mafia is getting closer so much, but thus Spaghetti Mafia will be able to fight for the second place. And of course, Spaghetti Mafia have 3 seconds penalty, so it will cost him a lot because for sure he will lost for now 2 positions. So Bernard, if he will hold just behind the Spaghetti Mafia that is currently attacking right now, but this ghosting isn't very helpful for the Spaghetti Mafia and the other drivers. Just to clarify that. And Bernard already make a double overtake on Buciek and Spaghetti Mafia. It's not really fair, but it's racing, right?
Absolutely, it's racing here in 2021. There was a little bit of contact between Buciek and Spaghetti Mafia there coming through the hard left-hander. I don't know if maybe that cost Spaghetti anything, but now Jungees is going to have a little bit of a close-up here. I'm trying to see if Spaghetti has damage, and I can't tell at the moment if he has front wing damage. But if you're Buciek, you're going to be really thankful because that does drop the gap between him and Spaghetti. But the Ghost of Bernard is coming through now and going up into P2. So Buciek on those hard tires, losing out some positions. I don't know where this is all going to end. Spaghetti Mafia is going to lose at least 2 positions, though, still. He's going to lose even more right now. There's another one. So he is pretty much committed down to P7 at this point because there's such a gap between FISHU and now it's Crash and Fabian. There's 17 seconds between the two.
So end of this race makes us more interested by the whole race because everything what was important in this race just was made on the end. So I'm still very interested how it goes on the last lap. We saw another contact between Spaghetti Mafia and Buciek, and we seeing like pure fight, and it's just amazing how hard all of the drivers are trying right now. We can see a beautiful defense from the Buciek. Spaghetti Mafia is still trying and sitting just on the back of the Buciek, but Spaghetti Mafia really need to push because he have a 6 seconds penalties. And as you said before, he already fell down for the 7th place, so that must be heartbreaking.
Absolutely. WasserSchwein, though, let's talk about him for a second as he comes through the final sector. Really clean races. Really good run coming around. Nothing crazy, no penalties, nothing going on. So WasserSchwein coming across the finish line, taking the checkered flag, and that is going to be his race. Bernard coming around in P2, and Buciek and Spaghetti coming around. Buciek, 25-lap-old hard compound tires in a 27-lap race. His tires are screaming, but he was able to put the defense on Spaghetti to hold on to P3. Jungees jumping P4. Gamer P5. Spaghetti Mafia dropping all the way to P6, P7 FISHU, P8 Crash, P9 Fabian, P10 Velix, and Owski is going to come around to finish P11. So, overall, this race, very crazy.
Oh, yeah. And I think so. Some of the situations on the track today were very dangerous, but at the end, we've seen amazing fights at the end of the race, amazing strategies, some disconnection problems, but it wouldn't be F1 2021 if we wouldn't have problems like this.
Absolutely. Driver of the day, Bernard, going all the way up into P2. You can see there WasserSchwein, very happy to be on top of the podium there. And Buciek in P3, another great race from the Red Bull driver. coming through. Buchik, of course, finishing P5 last week, now P3 this week. Great finishes from him, doing really well to hold on so far this season. So, I had no idea what to predict to begin with. If you had asked me to predict this, I probably wouldn't have. WasserSchwein, strong racing from him. This might see Aston Martin back up to getting past McLaren in the Constructors' Championship, which would be a very, very good thing for Aston Martin. Tight battle, even though we're halfway through the season. No driver really jumping out and holding on. It's so close, the racing is, between all of these drivers.
And Wasser also makes a better gap in front of the probably Spaghetti Mafia that he is currently on the second place, and Wasser still leading in the general standings, right?
Yes, unless penalties come to play, which, again, Wasser, a very clean race. I don't anticipate any crazy penalties coming his way.
I will totally agree with that.
So, Split 2, as exciting as ever. What are you taking in Split 1, SENTEX?
I hope I wouldn't be on the end.
Avoid the curbs.
Yeah, I know. This is the rule number one, just to make that in the whole race, and I think everything will be fine.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break here. Split 1 coming up in about 10 minutes' time. Tune back in with us here to see what sort of fun time Split 1 can bring. This is going to be FRL Split 2 over. Tune in with us here in about 10 minutes.